Hi everybody, welcome back to my Dungeon Boss campaign series. We are going to be hitting up our next chapter here. I'm currently level 21. If we take a quick peek, we're going to be starting chapter 8, which happens to also have a recommended level of 21. So we're right on pace with where we want to be as far as the campaign, beating the dungeons at level with minimal assistance from friends, as well as minimal assistance from potions if possible. Although potions aren't as big a deal as using friend heroes, we want to try and make this as authentic as possible. So, as I've been going on with this particular series over the last couple of weeks and really starting to progress with it more, I just wanted to first welcome aboard a couple of new individuals. So I put out a video maybe about a week or two ago showing that I actually created a guild, and it was pretty slow going for quite a while, but we are up to a couple of new people here. So the first person that joined was actually Mr. COYT. He's been around almost since the beginning, but welcome aboard to our new people here, Sprinkle By and Deck. So if you are interested in joining, this will be pretty much a casual guild. There's no crown requirements. It's basically a way for you to hang out with me, maybe get some info, and learn a few tips and tricks along the way. Although, on a side note, if you play nicely and you are a good player and solid on crowns, we may ultimately have a invite waiting for you in the Justice League community if you're wanting to go up to a more sustainable guild in the long run. Obviously, this guild is not going to be a contender for many months, if anything. I don't expect to ever get into the upper end of this guild conquest, but that's okay. With that said, let's go ahead and start taking a look at Chapter 8. So we got a bunch of red heroes, not overly concerned about that with the team that I'm using dark heroes plus Stonefist and Yasmin, so elemental advantage goes to me. So realistically, with the runes that I have on for my PvP conquesting right now, I should be able to probably walk right through this. This is only a 3-room dungeon. Unless some of these guys have some hard hitting against nature, it's probably not a big deal. I will throw my taunt up with Stonefist just because I don't want these warriors attacking my ladies in the middle. They may not hit tough, but if they do whip out a special attack, they may be able to damage them more than I care to deal with right now. So depending on where you are with your hero roster, you can see that you don't have to spend a lot of your gems in the summons to try and get better heroes. Running heroic summons frequently, you're going to run out of gems quickly, and the only real benefit you have for that is leveling up your PvP experience. So if you're really into PvP, then spending gems on those heroic summons is probably going to be more worth your while. But honestly, at this low level, I wouldn't focus as much on PvP as I would just natural progression. Earn yourself some gems so that when a good times 10 summon comes out, you can actually afford it and actually get that good hero. So this went pretty much exactly like I expected with a dungeon full of red heroes. The only ones that might cause problems if we run into some really powerful, fast, light heroes, where they might pose a threat to my core damage dealers here. We've gone through and beaten plenty of nature heroes before, even with Yasmin and Stonefist, but that's because they're not the primary damage dealers, so the team in general works out pretty efficiently. Nice little battle rune. That'll be handy on somebody. Alright, let's get a quick prognosis here. We got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 total dungeons. So we'll do the first 4 right now. Purple and red again shouldn't be any difference. We do see the level scaled by 1 level, so might be a little bit tougher, but I'm not overly concerned just yet. The only time I'm going to get concerned is if we have a room full of casters that I can't take out and it's a particularly long dungeon. If we find that we're getting dungeons that have 5 heroes in them on a regular basis, we're obviously going to run into energy issues. And unless you're going to bring along energy potions to keep on renewing that, you do have to work on your damage mitigation. Taunting with Stonefist is obviously a great way to do that. But I'm kind of buying my time. I'd like to get Sir William in here, and so I can start taunting in the normal speed round, just so that my main damage dealers aren't getting attacks on them before Stonefist can taunt. Obviously, that those casters with the AoE, that's kind of what I was talking about before. It's like if we get a room full of casters, even with the taunt, it's going to be a problem. So if you're lucky enough to have Black Diamond or Masuda Kira, they would probably be a good one for this dungeon, just because of their anti-purple and they're fast. So I think you would do well with them. They're obviously not necessary just yet. You can see I'm doing just fine here. Once Yasmin is done with her disease, which she is now, now I can at least whip out a heal on here. Don't need her for damage, so I'll just heal on the first turn in here. This one will probably go a couple of turns just because of the tanky nature of those guys. Alrighty, see what Darius can do up against a couple of dudes. Killed the one guy, but not the other. That's kind of surprising. Alright, I'm expecting my taunt to be up pretty soon, so I don't think I'm going to auto this one to the end. I think this is the last turn of taunt. Oh, maybe not. There it is. Alright, let's put just a crit on Darius quick. We're fortunate that he's still dazed, so we're pretty safe for this turn here. Once he gets lucky, he did, and he didn't hit that hard anyway, so not that big of a deal. And he's dead. No tokens. I always seem to get the rune chests. And of course at this level the runes are never any good. But it is what it is. I know I say that a lot, but it truly is what it is. And honestly, Femus tokens, even at my level 70 main account, I don't have Femus at 6 stars, so that should tell you about the dungeons that he inhabits. They're just not a high priority for me. Don't need them for the Celestial Evos. Don't need them for any of the little quests that you do for like killing beasts or undead or skeletons, whatever they might be. They just don't seem to come up that much for me, so he happens to be one of those few people that is just lagging way behind. I still get a couple of Femus tokens every other day or so when I'm doing my regular quests. But yeah, I still got a long way to go. He's only at I think I have him at 4 stars on my main account, which is a little bit of a sidebar, but I thought it was interesting that I didn't get him here either. So kind of rude of those guys to just all-out attack on Yasmin. It's probably better that they went for the elemental disadvantage versus wailing away on Ella or Darius, because they may very well have actually killed them. If anybody noticed an issue with my audio quality, I do apologize for that. I have had some microphone issues. I'm using pretty low-tech equipment, so I don't have a recording studio like some of the millionaire YouTubers. I'm just a regular dude using whatever I have available. which for me is a $4 headset. A little bit longer dungeon than the last ones. I probably could have used one of my skills and maybe... Let's see if this is a one-hit kill. It's not. I'll actually use Darius here. It should be enough to be back on cooldown the next time I actually need it. Especially since it didn't kill these guys, which was kind of surprising. So... we can definitely tell just by playing that the dungeons are getting a little bit more difficult. Just because we're not getting these easy one-hit kills. But these guys are also armored as well, so we can expect a little bit of that. They're going to, they're going to soak a little bit more damage. Once I get Cobalt unlocked, he's going to be my main damage dealer. I think I'll end up either replacing Ella or replacing Darius with Cobalt, just to get that extra damage in there. Now, obviously, Cobalt's going to need to be ascended, so I don't know how I'm going to manage that at such a low level, but cross that bridge when we get to it. For anybody new to the game, Cobalt is a main dungeon runner once you get to the end of the game, so he's incredibly potent. I recommend pouring resources into him as early as possible. He can be really handy for PvP as well, depending on your team. So something to keep in mind. Caster looks like he would, yeah, I figured that was going to happen. So the caster himself was fairly weak, but if you can't kill him in those first 3 hits, it's not really worth much, because the taunt just comes up anyways. So hoping that this actually kills him, which it did not. So I'm guessing he's going to probably use my stronger heal to make sure Yasmin doesn't die. Notice she just doesn't heal very much. That's just part of being low level. The health and the healing doesn't quite balance out that much. I don't have a ton of like really awesome runes on her where her health is super high compared to her skill level. It's just a matter of low level healing just isn't that great. Now if you had somebody like Nub has pretty good low level healing because of the heal over time, which you can't really put a price on that, which is why a lot of people will argue that Nub is probably the best healer in the game. And early on, at least through the normal campaign, I would say he probably is. I wouldn't argue with that. There are some other people that have some better mechanics. For example, different version of healing. If you think of a different mechanic of healing with Augustus with his Aegis shield, you're basically doing pre-healing by preventing damage. So if you're going to get hit by a 10,000 hit point strike, obviously Aegis shield blocks all of that. So, alright, one more dungeon to go, and that will wrap up this little segment here. Frozen Crypt. I expect blue and an undead green. I'm guessing he's going to be in the end by himself. Still level 22. Haven't been getting many Celestial Evos. I'm kind of hoping to just see those pop in every now and then, but they're really not. I haven't checked my stock in a while because I haven't really had the materials for ascending. Alrighty, just a regular blue one. I'll wait and kill him with Yasmin. Try and do, actually let's do this. I'll probably just use a energy potion. We want to get through this dungeon unscathed. Depending on what the boss looks like, that'll determine if I actually even need the energy. It's a short dungeon, so I know it's not going to be back up on cooldown. Yeah, we got back-to-back rooms where it's the same basic thing, so we'll kill the casters first, just to prevent damage to the team. And those casters look like they actually hit pretty hard. Probably good that I did that. Actually going to heal here even though I don't need it. That way I can taunt with Stone Fist. It's a safe play going into a boss dungeon. Anytime you enter a boss dungeon with a taunt up, it's definitely a smart play. So I try to do it a lot when I do boss mode dungeons. If you check out my boss mode series, you'll probably see me trying to do taunt on certain ones. It's not necessarily having taunts up, but having buffs up is a big thing. Taunting in boss mode tends to be a death sentence. So many of the enemies in boss mode have the challenge accepted trait, and it just turns into a disaster. So it looks like I'm going to get my skeleton quest out of this too, so that'll be nice. Killing the weaker guys first, and then we'll just leave that greenie by himself. So unless he has an absolute massive attack against Stone Fist, this is a nice way to wrap up this one. And one more. There he goes. Alright, so there we have it. First 4 dungeons of Chapter 8. Still no real opposition. I would imagine Chapter 9 is going to escalate a little bit more. And then Chapter 10, I think, might be the next major boss. Actually, it might be Chapter 11, which is going to be, I think, the Lich King. But that's going to wrap up for now. Stick around. We'll have another one shortly. Thanks.